The Bucks do not need to blow the roster up. Jalen Brunson is a basketball superhero. The OKC Thunder have finally arrived. And playoff Paulo. First quick takes vid. I'm just going to give a brief note on a couple of things that I've seen from this weekend, mainly from the playoffs. We'll go back pretty quick. Everybody needs to hold their horses on the Milwaukee Bucks. They do not need to blow up their entire team. It's been a rough season. Even though they finished with the third seed, you trade for Damian Lillard in the offseason. There's a lot of expectations for this team to go out and win a championship, but not only did they encounter a bunch of crazy injuries, like a Giannis Achilles strain or a calf strain or something, like a week before the playoffs start, and then Damian Lillard with an Achilles strain the first game of the playoffs, that's already a recipe for disaster. Luckily, Chris Middleton, Pat Bev, Bobby Portis, and a bunch of the other guys have all stepped up for the series, but end of the day, Pacers ended up having a healthy and complete team, and they ended up winning in 6. But people need to chill out. The roster does not need to retool or anything like that. They just need to get healthy, and they need continuity. Good teams that go on to win championships, they have good continuity from one season to the next, and usually, obviously, they're going to be healthy. But that includes the players, whether that's the core players and even the role players and the coaches. There just needs to be like a level of continuity that continues on and isn't like a revolving door of players and coaches, because they fired Adrian Griffin halfway through the season, and then they hired Doc Rivers, who made plenty of comments about how he didn't want to be there or how he wouldn't wish this on anybody, which is pretty stupid, just straight up. Like, why would you say that to the media about your team or to your team or whatever? But that's a whole nother thing. But ultimately, the Bucks are going to be fine. I think they just need to kind of try and improve on the margins, as a lot of people would say. So that means just kind of upgrading those low usage role players, and then also just keep their core together, and then just let them build chemistry. Because again, Damian Lillard has been in Portland his entire career, and he just got traded this season. It's a massive adjustment. And then 2 different head coaches trying to figure out how to use these guys, what kind of defense to run, and also what kind of offense to run. And so they just need to build continuity, like I said. And if things aren't looking good next year, then we'll be looking to make more adjustments. Jalen Brunson is a basketball superhero. So listen to this. 5'11" dude. He was a 5-star recruit and a McDonald's All-American, but he was a 3-year player out of college. He was a 2nd-round pick. He was playing off the bench for his first 2-3 years in Dallas, and now he's arguably, he's the best point guard in the East. And I don't even think it's that big of a debate anymore. 27 points a game, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. He's like, 48, 40, 87 or something like that on the season. And then the playoffs, he's been a playoff riser, which I didn't expect. I don't think anybody expected this 5'11", not super athletic, not even super shifty guard to just go out and be the best guard in the entire Eastern Conference. And yet here we are. He just sent Embiid and the Sixers home after what was a really good series, where Brunson even struggled in the first couple of games, but then he had back-to-back 40-plus point games, and also I think either 2 of them or all 3 of them were 40 and 10 games, which is ridiculous. Again, this dude is 5'11". I know he's listed at 6'2" or 6'1", but come on, let's be for real. He's not that tall. But again, he's not that athletic either, and yet he plays very physically, super intelligently, and he just knows how to get to his spots. And I'd say for anybody under 6 foot, that a lot of people nowadays are saying that the league is getting taller, and yet for some reason these small guards keep finding success in the NBA. The Steph Currys, the Kyrie Irvings, the Jalen Brunsons, and for a year or two the Fred VanVleets. there's always like a stream of these undersized guards that still seem to be finding success. And in the next coming years, I think there's going to be a few that could also, find success in the NBA. And I think that should just be like, inspiring for these undersized guys. And again, Jalen Brunson is really a basketball superhero because he's defying every single odd, and he's finding great success doing so. When we do get back to the postseason, we want it to be an arrival, not an appearance. That was a quote from Sam Presti, the GM of the OKC Thunder in 2021. The OKC Thunder have officially arrived. Here in the 2024 playoffs, they managed to get the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, which was very, very tough and very competitive. It literally came down to the last game of the season for them to get that number 1 seed. And a lot of people on Twitter, we all saw it, were saying they were going to be a first-round exit to the Zion-less Pelicans. And yet, they got a clean sweep. 2 games were blowouts. 2 of them were pretty close, but the Pelicans, they put up a good fight, but the Thunder just completely overwhelmed them. Like Presti quoted, the Thunder have arrived. They didn't show up. There wasn't an appearance in the playoffs. They have officially arrived after years of being called the black eye of the league, and people shitting on them for tanking essentially, when it was really only a 2-year thing. I believe it was pretty much the 2020-2021 season, the 2020 and the 2022 season, and then last year they were just a play-in team, where they did pretty good, but they couldn't get past the Timberwolves ultimately. The best thing about this OKC team is that they seem to be clicking on every level. The team chemistry is amazing. If you look at interviews, they talk about it. It's a very unselfish group of guys. They all really enjoy each other's company, which is very rare for NBA teams. And on top of that, they have really good on-court chemistry. It's a bunch of high skill, high IQ players, and the driving force of that has been the combination of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, and Chet Holmgren, along with the other guys. Like this last series, Lou Dort was the MVP of that series with the defense that he was playing on Brandon Ingram, and they just all work together so well, and I really think they're going to make a deep run in these playoffs. I don't really know what I was expecting from this Cavs versus Magic series, but I can almost promise you I did not expect Paolo Banchero to be a playoff riser. There's been a lot of concerns throughout the year about kind of how his game would translate to the postseason, because dude is a very jumper heavy, mid-range jumper especially, heavy scoring diet, and a lot of the times that's hard to translate to a very physical game where they let you get away with a lot of contact. And Paolo, the way that he scores, his jumper is really slow, honestly. He's almost got like a hitch, and I was really scared about how that would translate, especially considering he's not like the most efficient player. I think he only shoots like 45% from the field and 34.5% from 3, and he's not a great free throw shooter either, so I didn't know what to expect. But what ended up happening is dude was the most consistent player on his team all series. He's got multiple 30 balls. I think he had 39 last game in game 5 that came down to the wire, where unfortunately Franz Wagner ended up kind of selling the game on a bad play where Evan Mobley made a great recovery block. But Paolo, being a playoff riser, could really boost his ceiling. Like, I don't really know what I was expecting for him in the future, because Paolo's kind of weird in a way. It's like I can't get a great read on him despite him, having great statistical success. This year he led the 5th seed Orlando Magic to the playoffs after last year being like a 12th seed or something like that. And obviously he's had great statistical success. Like I said, like he was an all-star this year. And so that makes you wonder why he just doesn't feel like a real star, if that makes sense. But everything that he's done has proven that he is. And so I think these playoffs have kind of officially cemented, like, in my mind that this dude is legitimately legit. But the first round of the playoffs is just about wrapping up. There's only a couple series left. The Clippers and the Mavericks have to finish their games. I think that the Mavericks are going to pull through and take the series. I think they're up 3-2 right now, so wouldn't be a big surprise. I think that Kawhi Leonard might have to consider retiring. I know, like, Stephen A. Smith said it or something like that, but I really think he should consider it so that he doesn't really go out on a low note. He still had a good season this year. He's going to be all NBA, I'm pretty sure, but I think it's just time for him to hang it up. But also, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Orlando Magic are still going. I think Orlando can win this last game at home and bring it to 7 games. And at that point, I actually don't know where it's going to go. I had the Cavs making a deep run in one of my earlier picks in the season, but like, this Orlando Magic team is tough, and they're not going to go away easy, but they could actually, like, be a big upset here. Well, I guess it won't be an upset because it's a 4-5, but who knows? Yeah, I think that's everything.